I do remember that.
Sounds like there's a lot more to that story that you know about.
No, Chris was also sitting on the same bed. There was nowhere else to sit in my bed.
I think the story's getting worse.
There was a Commodore 64 between me and those guys. To defend.
There was always a Commodore 64 between us.
Right. So.
That was actually my first trip to England ever.
Right, I remember asking you, what do you think of the television and that kind of stuff? And you were like, I don't really like it much.
It was my first introduction to Indian food, too.
Awesome. Have you continued to eat it?
Absolutely.
Sweet.
Absolutely. Only I have to eat more Rolaids now, times with the Indian food.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember you telling me that you went to Ocean Software.
Yes.
And you asked them, is this your QA department? Where everyone was like lined up, and they went, no, this is our product development.
These are our engineers.
Right. Everyone was in some kind of brick alcove. Do you remember that?
Yes, vaguely. Now the main thing I remember is being scared to death driving with Chris down those curvy roads in England. He was taking me to eat at some place. I don't remember the name of the place, but it was like this big stone farmhouse-looking building out in the middle of the woods in England. And he's driving, it must have been like 220 miles an hour in this small car around curves. And,
Where was this, outside London?
I don't remember where it was exactly.
Because, curvy roads and old stone brick place pretty much describes most of England.
No, it was countryside. It was like out in the middle of country.
It's like the beginning of Lawrence of Arabia. You know that scene?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and then the goggles just come up into the frame.
Yeah, we were over there talking to different European distributors for Chris's first game, Times of Lore, which is it's the game that introduced us to Chris at Origin. When Richard and I moved to Austin in 1986, first person we got to hire was an artist whose name was Dennis Lubay. And Dennis said, well, I'd love to work full-time for you guys, because he'd already done a lot of artwork for Richard's past Ultimas. He says, but I got this contract gig with this English kid that I have to finish up. I said, no worries. You can even work on it in the office if you want. And he was working on it on the Commodore 64. So I remember after Dennis Lubay got his office set up, and after hours when he was done working on the Ultima stuff, I'd see this awesome-looking graphics up on the screen, the Commodore 64. And I said, Dennis, is this just that British kid's game you're working on? He goes, yes, it is. And I go, we want to meet him. I said, all right. So I believe we did you come into the office the first time, Chris, or did we come to your parents' house?
And the old guy took me to Richard's favorite place at the time, which was
Oasis?
Jambalaya or whatever.
Oh, Jambalaya. Oh, my God, yes, Jambalaya. Filet mignon au poivre.
You got it.
Yeah, oh, that's right. Then I remember bringing Richard and Robert over to your parents' house one night.
I showed, because that was the guest house, and that's where I was doing my program.
Yes.
I demoed what I was working on.
Yes, so that was Times of Lore. And another guy that you've recently been in business with at Certain Affinity, Paul Isaac.
Oh, yeah.
Paul Isaac was the first person we hired at Origin that we flew in from out of town. I believe that was 87.
So he was a big deal, huh?
It was a big deal. Yeah. And he was just barely out of school himself. But anyway,
Big head of hair on him.
Not anymore. We all have a little bit of that issue going on. Anyway, Paul worked with you a little bit on Times of Lore, didn't he, on the Apple version?
Yeah, Paul programmed on the Apple. I think he was
missing
on
the
Commodore.
SD card.
And then afterwards, worked on Bad Blood and then Wink.
That's right. Bad Blood was the second
Actually,
follow.
originally Paul was coming in, he was a massive
Ultimate fan.
And I guess he kind of got
Yeah, you stole him.
I don't think he ever wrote anything on an Ultimate, did he?
But that's what he wanted to come to. He got hijacked along the way.
That happened more than once.
Yeah.
Down through the years.
True.
Yeah. Chris and Richard had a mostly friendly rivalry. going on through the years for some of the top engineering talent that would come into Origin. Yeah, and then some of that talent joined you, Chris, at Digital Anvil too, to keep working on these Commander Space Sim products. So yeah, that was a long time ago. Almost 30 years now, huh?
I like the way you say it with such a sigh. So long ago.
Is that fondly or?
It is. It is finally. Those were the those to me that was the golden era. It was the golden era.
25 years ago.
It was a golden era because everything that we were all working on had never been done before. Chris was definitely a pioneer. Like Richard was a pioneer in the storytelling elements, and Chris was a pioneer in the space sim and graphics elements, and also in the fusion of the dynamics of storytelling through movies, cinematic combination with the space sim stuff. So that was huge, and that was what Wing Commander represented to me, was the perfect fusion between movies, or the exciting part of movies anyway, and sims. I remember I used to get choked up every time somebody would die in Wing Commander, and you'd have the funeral sequence, which you probably did all the sound for.
Not in the first one. I have to keep time. I wasn't around for the first Wing Commander.
Yeah, no, the first one was Fat Man.
Right.
Did and Dana.
Dave got it.
Dave was it Dave got it? Yeah,
Dave
Dave got it. Did the music, and then a lot of the sound was like Herman Miller, who was working on.
And Mark Chapin.
Mark Chapin.
Mark did, yeah, and then I think also John Miles did some programming.
Maybe.
So yeah.
Yeah, so we used to love and go and watch movies.
So that was some more Ultima resources that I appropriated.
Some more of them. That was the time that THX started being really big in theaters, and we'd go to the movie theater in the Arboretum. And to me, the best part of the movie was the opening sequence, where that sound, the crescendo, was building up of the THX intro. Oh man, I just go to movies just to listen to that, and Chris borrowed certain elements of that.